All right, now joining me is the guy right in the thick of it, Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan. He's chair of the House Judiciary Committee. He was there at the presser this morning. Welcome back, Mr. Jim Jordan, Mr. Chairman Jim Jordan.
And good to be with you.
What, just on the top here, the FBI is dodging the subpoena. What do you make of that? What's going to happen here?
Well, Chairman Comer is going to continue to push to get that document, this 1023 form. This is a form when the FBI is talking with a confidential human source that they record the conversation on. They make the notes and they put it on this form. The whistleblower says that that form exists. That's the whistleblower who went to Senator Grassley. Chairman Comer said, I want to see this form. Let's hope if the form exists, let's hope the FBI turns it over to the committee, as the subpoena says they have to do.
Let me ask a dumb question. We have a lot of good ground to cover. We're probably going to be with you for 30, 40 minutes. That was a joke. But seriously, when can you get this whistleblower out there in the public testifying under oath?
That's always up to the whistleblower, Larry. We've had a number of whistleblowers come talk to us from the FBI. We've actually interviewed 6 of them. We plan on having some of them testify publicly here in the near future, because they want to, and they have a compelling story to tell, and they've been retaliated against. But in this situation, it's totally up to the whistleblower. That's the way the statute works. We've had some, the FBI whistleblowers come to the Judiciary Committee. We've had Democrats leak information from their interview, and then it turned out that that information was wrong, and 2 of the outlets, the media outlets who covered that, had to redact and change what they wrote. So they're concerned about retaliation, but it's totally up to the whistleblower. Mr. Grassley has confidence in this whistleblower, says this whistleblower is totally credible. We'll just have to wait and see.
All right, so you got all these phony LLCs deliberately done to confuse and make it harder. $10 million, as I understand it. I read someplace $9 million from China, $1 million from Romania. Romania is a terrific new name. Ukraine gets all the press, but now we got the Romanians weighing in. What I understand, I don't know whether this has been proven to your satisfaction or Jim Comer's satisfaction, but I think one argument is that the Romanians paid money, Mr. Biden, Mr. Vice President Biden, who have been overseeing, I guess, Eastern Europe, Romania, Ukraine, and trying to get rid of corruption, used or took the money and then went and somehow influenced the personnel, I don't know who, prosecutors, whatever, in the Romanian government. That seems to be the line of reasoning. Now, I don't know if that's proven, Jim, and I don't know if you agree with what I've just said, but that's what I'm reading.
Yeah.
$1 million, Vice President Biden goes in, puts his own people in. You got this crook who gave him the $1 million, et cetera, et cetera. Can you help us out here? Is that the line of reasoning?
Well, we'll have to see if that all is accurate. I do think that's some of the what the whistleblower is alleging that exists in this form. Whether that deals with Romania or what country, we just don't know, because again, we haven't seen the form. But in the big picture, always come back and remember suspicious activity reports. And the key word in there is suspicious. It's not activity reports. It's suspicious activity reports that our government, our Treasury Department, put together 170 of them. And some of those reports, Larry, came from the Obama-Biden Treasury Department during that administration. So you got 170 of those that Chairman Comer and the committee have looked at. You have thousands of pages of banking records that Chairman Comer has subpoenaed from 4 banks. Those all point to the creation of 20 different LLCs out there associated with the Biden family, receiving, as you said, tens of millions of dollars from these foreign entities. Those $10 million were then given to all kinds of members of the Biden family: Joe's brother, the president's brother, his son, his sister-in-law, his daughter-in-law, all kinds of folks getting money. And the fundamental question always comes down to this: what did they do? What was the business?
Right.
What was the service they provided? What value did they add? What did they actually? No one knows what the business was. So that, to me, is the big picture sense. And all this complexity, moving money around and all these different banks, that's why there's 170 suspicious activity reports. The complexity, as Ms. May said today in the press conference, the complexity was by design, designed to confuse people. Again, it's what motivated the Treasury Department, even in the Obama-Biden administration, to come up with these suspicious activity reports.
I mean, I understand this, and it's very good research, and the logic is clear. And, you know, Byron Donaldson said it, Nancy May said it, you're saying it's important stuff. But I think a lot of people want to know, is this going to directly lead to Vice President Biden? In other words, you got this $10 million. I'm going to say $9 million from China, $1 million from Romania. Those numbers may not be completely accurate, but that's what I'm reading. What did those investors, quote unquote, what did they get for their money? What influence was peddled? What policy was changed? Did Mr. Biden, Papa Biden, Vice President Biden, can you trace it to him?
Well, that is the fundamental question. And according to the whistleblower who went to Mr. Grassley, that he seems to think you can, based on this form, based on this confidential source who gave the information to the FBI that Christopher Steele said today when he was testifying on Capitol Hill, oh, that's confidential, we can't just hand that over. So we'll see. But that is what the whistleblower is alleged to have said to Senator Grassley. We'll just have to wait and see.
All right. Well, look, I've known you all these years. You're a persuasive guy. You got to talk to this whistleblower. Get him out. Get him out there in the public sphere. Let me move on to another set, not necessarily related to this morning's presser, but you were the guy who outed Anthony Blinken with Mike Morrell saying it. Blinken was the guy who quarterbacked the White House, well, not the White House, the Biden presidential campaign for this phony letter from 51 former intelligence people, all of whom lied, and it wasn't Russian disinformation. It was Hunter Biden's laptop, and everybody knows that now. I want to know what can you do more, because it's surfacing that the whole CIA essentially acted as Biden presidential campaign operatives. They were like managing this letter, helping to get people signing off on it, because you have to have pre-publishing stuff, signing off on it so it wasn't a secret letter. This is the entire CIA, apparently from the top on down. So I got Blinken, who I think it sounded like misinformation when he was interviewed by one of our reporters. You got to put him back under oath, because I think there's a problem there with him. He's like a political operative, became Secretary of State. But you've got the whole CIA, which I think is an outrage. They were acting as the Biden presidential campaign operatives. I mean, some of those people may still be around. You got to do something about that, Jim Jordan.
So the CIA reviewed and approved the letter when Mike Morrell sent it there. Mike Morrell, when he emailed the letter to him, said this is a rush job. It got approved like that same day, that same morning when he sent it over. And we now know one of the individuals who signed it, it looks like when he got called in October by the Publication Review Board at the CIA about about a book he was writing, they said, hey, we've approved your book. Oh, by the way, would you be willing to sign this letter? So they called him, told him his book was approved, then brought up the letter that Mr. Morrell and the 51 ended up signing. They bring up that letter and said, here's what the letter says. They read the letter to him, and then he agreed to sign it. So it sure looks like you got someone from the CIA actively recruiting people to sign the letter. And the letter, we know, as Mr. Morrell testified, was there because Mike Morrell wanted Joe Biden to be the president. He wanted Joe Biden to have something to use in that final debate with President Trump, because he knew President Trump was going to bring up the laptop story. And there was so much coordination with the Biden campaign, Larry, that they were telling Mike Morrell, here are the reporters we want you to give the letter to first. And then when it all works like they want, after the debate, Steve Ricchetti, chairman of the Biden campaign, calls Mike Morrell and thanks him for the whole thing. That's not fair to we the people, the voters of this country, because that letter was used to suppress the story that the country didn't get to fully appreciate and fully see.
I thought, Jim, that the CIA actually was advising them who to sell it to. Like the Washington Post wouldn't take it. They tried some other sort of A level, and they finally said Politico. They got to Politico, and they ran the thing. But I thought the CIA
started
was
with the Post and then went,
huh?
No, the Biden campaign was doing that. Biden campaign they said, we want you to go to the Post first. Post must have said no. So they go to the Politico, and Politico ran the story.
I mean, we're laughing now about that part, but the institutional corruption with respect to the CIA is what interests me. The integrity. This is our nation's secret service. It doesn't look. I served on National Security Council when I was in the government with Mr. Trump. side by side with CIA director and assistant director and so forth. You know, Jim Jordan, somebody's got to solve this. I mean, this is like a major breach of confidence. Only a couple of years ago, some of those people may still be around. We can't have a Secret Service like this that's totally politicized.
Right.
That's what it is.
Right.
Something's got to be done.
Right. And it may just be one person there who was, did something they shouldn't do, totally wrong. We know this is totally wrong. We don't know. But we're asking to find out. We've asked the CIA to give us information and documents surrounding what took place, how someone on the CIA, in the CIA, on the Publication Review Board could actually call up an individual and actively solicit them to sign onto this letter, because that sure looks like what happened.
All right. Jim Jordan, you are an old friend, but you are a great American, and I wish you luck on your whole investigation.
You are,
Thanks
Larry.
for
Thank
helping
you.
us.